Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Wolfwood Weekly, your EastEnders podcast, where today we are discussing episode number 6550, or better known as the Mitchell Flashback episode, which aired today on Monday, the 5th of September. I hope you're all well. I trust that you are this fine evening. My name is Alex, and I cannot do this alone. I have to do it with someone, so I might as well do it with Rob. Hello, Rob. How are you?
Hello, no one else was available. Hello, how are you, Alexander? Oh my God. Okay, so we are squeezing this in after Monday's episode, which I'm going to just say this right now. I think may well be one of my favourite episodes of EastEnders ever. Alex.
That's an accolade and a half.
Oh my God, how good was it?
Overhype,
right? Overhype can exist, all right? And a few people that had seen previews and stuff online, reviewers, and said, "Oh, it's good, it's very good." And you kind of just like, because you always get yourself het up for a good episode. It beat my expectations. Honest to God, well done, everyone. Well done. That's
100%, 100%
stuff.
It's like everything felt really real as well, really gritty about it. Like the sets felt gritty, the exterior shots felt gritty. Even the Shenanigan Warehouse felt really gritty.
And we saw Shenanigan Warehouse. That warehouse has been in the Mitchell family for generations.
It's part of their family nowadays, isn't it?
It's part of the heritage.
Yeah, Shenanigan Warehouse Mitchell, blessed by thee.
Every will.
But yes, I mean, it was great. We saw all of the family. We saw Peggy, Eric, Phil, Grant, Archie, Glenda.
Yeah.
Oh my
Ronnie
goodness, Sam. Ronnie, were you pleased to see Ronnie and Roxy back?
I was a bit emotional. You sort of look at that. I looked at Ronnie especially, who, by the way, like perfect little girl. She had the little fringe that Ronnie had. But I looked at her and I thought, oh, you poor cow. The stuff you have coming for you. Jeez. Oh, I felt...
well, to jump to it, because we saw Archie and he was proper flirting with Peggy in the kitchen. Slap on the bum. You wouldn't be able to get away with that today, would you?
It's so weird that as I said on last week's podcast episode, that I'm watching all the 0809 episodes at the minute, and the Archie thing is fully in force at the moment. And it's funny because Peggy and Archie will talk now and again about the old days and how I've always wanted you, Peggy, even in those days. So that was illustrated that perfectly. And everybody in the cast was just absolutely perfect. Everybody how I expected. Can we talk about young Phil for a second?
What Daniel Delaney was flipping brilliant. Flipping these mannerisms. It's like he watched Steve McFadden act for the last 25 years on EastEnders and went, I got that mannerism and I got that mannerism and I got that, and just
stunning. It's like they pulled Steve McFadden out of the 70s and just thrust him back onto the screen again. And also, can we just say, I mean, obviously the script, I give me my moments. Simon Ashdown's script was incredible. The script was amazing. But how mad is this, right? In 2022, you've got Simon Ashdown writing for Peggy, Grant, Phil, Archie, Ronnie, Roxy. How mad is that?
I know.
It was just perfect. I absolutely loved it. I am buzzing with excitement about how good that. I want to watch it again right now. I really do. It was amazing. Amazing.
Well, you can, but straight after we've had a chat about it, okay? Because I think we've got a lot to dissect here.
So much to digest.
It started off actually in present day, where Keeble kind of we were reminded, and we saw the photo.
So it was Billy.
Options were right. It was Billy. So Keeble's after Billy.
Sorry, that was supposed to be a surprise. Sorry, we tried.
I mean, it was fine. We kept it in as much as we could.
Yeah.
Keeble was after Billy, and Phil's a bit confused. It's like, what do you want with Billy? And then it kind of went woo, a bit like woo, and then wobbled off to 1979.
Yes.
And we saw Margaret Thatcher, her first term as Prime Minister.
Who was she played by?
I think she played herself, actually.
Did she?
Oh, yes, I believe so. Okay. I believe so. And Terry Wogan played himself as well in the Blankety Blank.
Wow.
I know. Goodness, how they got them two back. But anyway.
BBC can do anything, can't they? TV magic. There you go. Yes. So
maybe they went to War for General and got them back.
There you go. That's that hospital. Anything can happen.
Bring anyone back to life then.
They can. So yes. So Keeble's aim obviously is to because we saw young Keeble as well right at the end. That was
little Summer,
little Keeble, adorable little girl she was.
With her panda.
I know.
That was the moment Keeble turned, wasn't it? That was the moment when she became a cold pup.
That was when she turned into D.I. Keeble, little 9-year-old D.I. Keeble. She was excellent. So yes, obviously this is the episode we're going to be discussing. We don't know anything that's happened for the rest of the week. So just this episode. And so we go back to 1979, straight into the Mitchell family home. Now, just. I've been meeting Eric for the first time.
Yeah,
that man.
Honor.
He doesn't. What a nasty piece of work
horror.
he is. Horrible man, but exactly how you imagined him to be, isn't he? Exactly. Like, regular beating Peggy up, scaring the boys rotten. It is no wonder that Phil and Grant turned out the way they did, is it?
I know. I know.
Insane.
And it's funny because when you saw Phil and Grant in 1979, you saw them in almost as a kind of not angelic, but like they hadn't quite turned yet. They were
on the verge.
Well, I mean, Phil was really excited. Yeah, Phil was really. Well, I reckon Phil was the one.
By the end, he was. Well, we'll talk about the ending of the episode, but I think Grant was kind of already there. When they were right at the start of the flashback when they were doing the boxing.
He said, "I get to kill.
I'm a killer." So Grant already had his mind being set on going into the army. So he was quite happy to do that. Wanted to do that immediately. He would have stopped eating his pie and mash there and then and gone and joined the army if he could. Which sums Grant up really. Grant was always a bit of a nutter, in fairness, and Eric is very much responsible for that.
Oh, 100%. And he kind of always undervalued his sons as well. And it's like he's got that relationship with Sam, which again, nice little throw out from the past. But Peggy always looked after her boys. And try as she might, she just couldn't convince Eric to kind of like stop him from go into the underworld, into the criminal world of London at the time. It's just it was mad.
I'm buzzing. I loved it so much. I'm sorry. I will have these little moments of just like now and again throughout the episode because it was just that good. Yes. So they're busy eating. We sort of get the feeling because eventually it was also quite standalone. The little adventure in itself in the 1970s. Anyone could really watch that, and it was great. And you sort of you're introduced to all the characters of the Mitchells, and you can see modern day versions of them. It was like each and every single person who arrived on the screen was exactly how I was like, yeah, I can totally see how you're Phil's 30 years ago or Billy 30 years ago. Even Archie Glenda was perfect.
I thought Archie was fantastic. I loved the actor who played Archie. He was very charismatic. He was kind of very, very handsome, womanizer. Yeah. His wife, Glenda, the alcoholic, but she liked nice, pretty things, so she kind of let him get on with it. I love that moment between Peggy and Glenda, where they kind of both discussed how they are basically second to like the men in their husband's life. And Peggy kind of accepted it and loved Eric, but Glenda really just kind of put up with it, and because she got what she wanted from Archie, which was shiny things. She was like a magpie, and I loved that conversation. And when she put that cigarette out in the cake as well,
like common as anything. Like, Peggy wouldn't have done that, but that was really interesting actually, that moment with Glenda, because obviously Glenda was not seen since Ronnie and Roxy died, and Glenda has always sort of had that sort of toffee nose look about her. But it was really interesting to sort of realise that both of these women were as lonely as each other. Except that their punishment from the men is ever so slightly different. They're both treated like trash, but in completely different ways, because the Mitchell brothers are horrible people. Eric just says it with his fist, and and Archie just did it with disrespect. And there was that moment between Archie and Ronnie with the sweet, and you kind of just, you're on the edge, like teeth on edge, because you know because you know what's coming in probably maybe 10 years time or something horrible like that. It's. But just perfect the way that it was all like you just can't have a feel, even though some members of the Mitchell family are vile people, there is elements of each and every single, most of them, that you can look at and think, I feel so sorry for you. That's why you are the person you are today, just because of the horrible things that were done to you. It's just awful. So
the degrading.
Oh, it's awful. So the little family meal that they're having, and Eric sort of throwing his weight around, and Peggy all scared, and the boys sort of trying to outdo each other. That's interrupted when Billy and Chaz, Billy and Chaz arrive.
And their dad as well.
And their dad, Stephen, I think, isn't it? Stephen.
I believe so.
Yes. And there's a job on. There is a job on that needs doing, and Eric's kind of like, well, let's leave immediately, because Phil's been giving him some jib, because Phil was that was when Phil first wanted to become a car mechanic. He was having some work experience, wants to go grease monkey at the garage, and Eric wasn't having any of that. So and Grant had been talking about wanting to join the army, and Eric, weirdly, I thought actually didn't want him to do that either. I would have thought that Eric would have been right up for that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a bit weird, but at the same time, I kind of didn't mind it too much because I think Eric was just so fuming and mad at Phil that he kind of it carried over to Grant, and so it just kind of like whatever Grant said. If Grant said I want to be in the underbelly of the underworld of London, he'd probably be like, no, you're not doing that. You're doing the underbelly of London. And he'd be like, okay. So I think he was just so wound up.
Yeah. But then I can also imagine Eric being the sort of man that would look at his son and think, "Oh, you don't need another sergeant. I'm your sergeant major. You're going to do what I say.
Yeah, so, I'm the captain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm your army. You have much worse here than you are in the army, Grant, my lad." So they go off. The boys go off with Billy. And they're doing some job. Billy, can I also say, by the way, bloody Billy, he always causing issues.
Billy.
I thought Billy was perfect as well. By the way, like I always thought Billy was a little bit adorable in his early years. He was he was this weedy little kid who was trying to do the best and trying to sort of be as good as everybody else, as he has always been throughout his entire life. That was still there.
And I like the bit. It was at the end because Phil kind of saved Billy in the shenanigan warehouse, and I liked that Billy. That was almost, you saw this relationship, which between Billy and Phil, which almost kind of explained why Phil always kind of let Billy stay. You know what I mean? It's like Billy didn't have any right to really stay around Albert Square, but Phil kind of allowed it and embraced him. He always called him the runt. He was always the crap on his shoe, but Phil, he was, at the end of the day, he was still one of the Mitchells, and I liked that and it was kind of explained because of the shenanigans that happened in this episode. So I really enjoyed that bit as well. I thought that was fun.
Fun. They go to this warehouse essentially, where they're plotting. I don't really know what they were doing. They're sort of trying to steal a load of VHSs, weren't they?
Yes, VCRs.
VCRs.
Oh, my heart bled for the old format.
Be kind. Make sure you're kind. Rewind.
Be kind. Rewind. When VCRs costed the earth to get one, no one had them. Video nasties.
Good God. The pirate days and all that kind of thing. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do that. So why would you do this? And so they go into this warehouse. Phil's been given the gun, or the shooter, as it was so like. I mean, you could. That's like calling something a sidewalk, isn't it? A pavement a sidewalk. It's a shooter. You shoot people with it. Yeah.
Double barrel.
This your big gun as well, wasn't it? It was like one of those things that a farmer has. Like,
I was going to say, nothing to be ashamed of with one of those in your hands. No,
good sized weapon.
Absolutely, carried well by Phil.
Yes, and so they start trying to. Basically, the plan is load all these crates of VCRs into the lorry that's waiting out the back. Now, Stephen, I think it's Steve. No, it was Charlie, wasn't it? He went outside at one point, was sort of kind of keeping watch, keeping mum, and then sees a security guard walking towards them, who he spots. He goes, "Oh!" and like chases him, and they run back into the warehouse. The security guard follows them in. And Eric tells Phil to shoot this security guard just there and then. That's how much of a psycho Eric was, right? Shoot him. He needs to die now.
You need to man up. You need to show yourself.
I mean, and that was the thing for Eric throughout most of it, wasn't it? Like, this is what men do. This is the manly thing. It's so easy to sort of work Phil out, really, isn't it? Like, the whole episode was such an interesting psychological study of anybody that's ever been in the Mitchell family, wasn't it? Like, Freud would have a field day watching that episode.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. It's funny that you actually said earlier about Eric being the sergeant major. He's in the army. He's kind of doing that with Phil, isn't he? He's trying to knocking him down so that he can be rebuilt back up, which is similar to what the army does, isn't it? They you knock your personality out of you so you can be built up and become a soldier in the army. And I guess that's what he was doing with Phil, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So Phil is kind of holding this gun, and as should be with Phil at all times, Phil doesn't want to kill somebody. Well, occasionally
Phil will never kill.
Phil never kills, even back then.
Do you know, it's funny when we watched the episode, I thought to myself, I was like, can you imagine if this is the moment we realise that Phil, after all this time, actually did murder someone?
Has killed someone, and he's just found, well, I won't do that again.
Oh, it hurt so much the first time. I won't do that.
I don't like that feeling. A nasty feeling. Won't do that. Yes. And then this is where, for me, there's still questions in the air as to what Keeble actually wants. Because Billy was at top when the security guard walks in. Because Billy, bless him, trying to lift these crates down. The security guard walks in. He falls off the ladder and sort of hurts his leg. So he can't run as fast as everybody else does. And Eric's like, leave him, leave him, leave him, leave him. Given as the
Good
first...
for Eric.
Well,
I was on Eric's side at that point.
No, you weren't, Alex. Stop it at once. And Phil showing the first kind of sign maybe of his life where he goes, no, we don't leave Mitchells behind. This family. Him and Grant rush Billy out, handing Eric the shooter, leaving Eric and the shooter and the security guard alone. And that classic thing where we hear the shot and security guard's been dead. So Eric's killed this bloke. Eric has killed this bloke, we are led to assume. And
not before we hear that he has a daughter. And as soon as he said that, I thought, I know who your daughter is. I know who he is.
Yeah, I think I might have got there a few seconds before you did. As soon as that security guard arrived, I was like, well, you're clearly going to die, and I bet you're Keeble's dad. So, but, you know.
Little Samantha Keeble.
Little Samantha Keeble. And this is what happens. So the police show up at Little Samantha Keeble's house and explain to Little Samantha Keeble's mother, Mrs. Keeble, Mrs. Little Samantha Keeble, that obviously her father's been killed. And then we sort of see Little Samantha Keeble waiting in the corridor of a little panda, realising that her dad's never coming home. And then we go back into the present day. And this is my question. Why is she zoning in on Billy? Why Billy?
Well, I don't know. That's the mad thing. And I presume that in the week we're going to find out. But I guess that from evidence she's maybe accumulated over time, she's realised perhaps it was the Mitchells that did it. And perhaps there's some link somewhere with Billy. There's something there that maybe, I don't know, maybe Billy was the one who called in the favor from the security guard, because Billy tends to have those kind of friends, doesn't he? So maybe Eric said to Billy, and so the other security guard that kind of turned a blind eye, maybe he over time there was a witness statement or something, or I don't know, there must be a link there somewhere where it's Billy's name that stands out, because no one really knows, as you say, no one really knew that Eric had shot the security guard, because the only person who was there to witness it would have been Phil. But then why doesn't Phil kind of stand forward and say, like, well, I think you're the wrong person here, because I know for a fact that actually it's my dad that did it. Yeah. So Keeble can't get redemption. So I don't know. It's
but then she would surely take it. I mean, obviously she is trying to take it out on Phil. So maybe is she just trying to bring down as many of the Mitchell men as she can possibly get to? Obviously, Grant's out of reach. Maybe if Billy wasn't there, she'd then turn her attention to Sam. I don't know. Is she just trying to destroy the Mitchell family completely, and maybe Billy's just next on? Because she did say he's next on the list.
That's it. It's like a hit list to her, isn't it?
Yeah. So maybe the Mitchells are a hit list to her. We will find out. But overall, well
can we talk about a few other moments as well?
Yeah,
I think we shouldn't miss out also Jamie Winston's portrayal of Peggy.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that was going to be fantastic.
Incredible, but. Perfect, absolutely. Oh, she was just perfect. I was quite happily sitting there going, "That's Peggy." Absolutely, yeah. I'm watching Peggy again, and that was incredible. She's so good. I want it all again. The only thing I would have to say about that is I wish it was an hour long. I want so much. I want so much more. I disagree
with you there. I thought it was condensed. It was half an hour actually. It was a 30-minute episode, so not the normal 27 minutes.
It didn't feel rushed.
It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like half an hour, because the episode flew by, because it was so fun and enjoyable to watch. It was a right romp. But for me, it's one of those perfect packages. It was condensed, and everything you needed to know happened in it. They didn't need to make that episode, don't forget. They could have just explained that away in a couple of lines. Keeble and Phil in the car.
Once upon a time.
Chat.
They probably would have done.
Maybe a different era. But they did, and the fact that they put the time, the effort, the sets are outstanding. The inside, exterior, I know it's a dumb thing to say, but the fact that Peggy got out of an old freezer a block of vanilla ice cream and cut the block. That's what my nan used to do. Yeah. Don't get any of those tubs when you scoop it out with a scoop. Oh, no. You get a block, a brick of ice cream, and you cut it into slices to eat from it. It's just silly little things like that. And like I said at the top, when they had the clip of Margaret Thatcher doing this the very famous One Nation speech.
Yes.
And Blankety Blank was on TV.
Yeah.
You know? Everything that rings my bell was there. Like, I just love nostalgia hits like that. But that's taking nothing from the tremendous casting, the tremendous script, the exceptional acting, the fantastic setting. And it feels an absolute pleasure to say that EastEnders is back.
That was perfect.
EastEnders,
you've done it. It's back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, EastEnders. We have missed you. Woo!
I mean,
it was perfect. I couldn't tell you. I could not say a single bad word about it, other than I think it was a great show. But they just like they couldn't quite squeeze it in. Ronnie and Roxy kind of sat on the floor, going, "Right, this is how you hold your breath," and doing that for absolutely ages.
I know they could have taught them that. However, there is kind of speech behind the scenes, or you know, on the underbelly of the social medias, that this could possibly be a backdoor pilot. How would you feel about a 6-episode series?
I'd love it. What, of that lot doing the Mitchells every week? Yeah, hell yeah! Give me it on a plate. Yes. Oh yes. Yes. That's
what would you want?
We're the Mitchells.
Well, Eric flying down a dinosaur's tail. They could have Dino. They could have some. Oh, anyway, but yes, no, but you know, that could then
you could bring in other characters, couldn't you? Because the Mitchells knew people that we've met on the square before. You know, maybe Den. You know, we could have young people, young versions of characters we met before. This fit. I agree with you. Sharon, maybe they could have come across each other before and not realised it, because it was made very clear that the first time they met was the first time they met. But you know, you come across people. No, I mean, are you having a laugh, Alex? Do I want to see that lot again doing what I've just watched? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I will quite happily imagine that social media is going insane about it. I imagine the reviews are all flooding in. And that show, our little show, is experiencing praise and applause and stuff that it's not had for a little while. And I hope that every single person involved is enjoying that warm little glowy feeling inside, because I certainly am, because it was incredible. I loved it. So my next question is, yes, obviously we'd love to see more. Who else could they do a flashback episode for, Alex? Who would you like to see?
Oh, I see. So, oh goodness. Well, I mean, the Beals would be an obvious choice, wouldn't
it?
Yeah,
absolutely. The Beals.
And Angie and Den, that'd be interesting to see how they kind of, because they, you know, when they were younger, and that you could then introduce a young Pat there, because we know that Den slept or had a thing with Den when she was younger.
A little bit of Pat, yeah.
A little bit of Pat, that's what they should call it. A little bit of Pat.
Little bit of Pat. Little cow Pat. Little cow.
How about you? What families or people would you like to see? I would
love to see. I mean, I would really like to see, because Chris Clenshaw, when he was talking about this, mentioned that, maybe Patrick and Trinidad. That would be interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would their budget allow though? Because I feel like this was a push.
Go and film it on Skegness Beach and throw a sunlight filter over it.
But use a red filter, put a few Jamaican flags or Trinidad flags behind them. No one knows the difference.
I'll become an extra. That's fine. I have you, all right. But there is so much potential, and doing this sort of storytelling does open you up to a whole array of new stories. New characters, new secrets. You know, it's a genius bit of storytelling. To bring Jamie Winston back as Peggy after she's played Barbara Windsor was utterly inspired. Whoever came up with that idea deserves a raise, because that was just inspired genius. The show is so on fire at the minute. It's so exciting. So exciting to be an EastEnders fan. And do you know what? We're only at the start of the Clenners era. Do you know what? In Dominic Trimble Collins' time, Lucy Beale's murder hadn't even happened yet. You know, we've still got our big stuff to come, I think. This is only the beginning. So I
mean, I hope he stays around for the 40th anniversary. I really do. I really do. I
think he will.
That's a long time in the future, I know.
It is a way away. But
it's time to build up a story, isn't it? It's time to build up a story.
So
but like go on. Sorry, go on. No, I was going to say, just like you, they didn't need to do this flashback episode. There was it wasn't necessarily needed, but they did. And it just shows. It shows, for me, there's another thing that shows. It shows the BBC have confidence
and they
care, and that's something that was sorely lacking for a long time.
But it felt like, you know, the show was just sort of being allowed to sort of flounder a little bit. But the care, and I mean, that episode alone has shown that there is so much care and so much thought being put into this show once again. Thank you.
I'm exhausted.
I loved it. So, in short, as you can tell, it was all right. You know,
yeah, it was fun, you know.
It's
We
all
might
right.
watch it again if they play it and repeat. Might do it.
I might watch it. I might watch it on Classic in a few years' time if it shows up.
Maybe.
Perfect.
Ah,
Well done. And then tomorrow night, another Simon Ashdown episode to explain what we've just watched.
Well, yes, we got a whole week, and then we've got wedding week, and then we've got our podcast as usual after that as well.
Explain what we're doing now, Alex, because my brains are tiz. My brains are tiz. Let me just sit here and on orgasm over what I've just thought.
Okay, well, while we're doing that, you lucky fellows, we were able to record this special episode and get it out for you after the flashback episode.
Yes,
but this still applies that I have moving to do. So we've got a week off for the main podcast that normally comes out on a Saturday. So our podcast will be coming out now next Saturday for basically the rest of this week and next week, which is the wedding week. So our big podcast will be coming out on Saturday, the 17th of September, and that'll be covering the rest of this week and next week. As always, don't forget to comment below to let us know what you guys thought of this flashback episode and any predictions that you think going forward. And there are other ways you can get in touch with us. And Rob has the details for you.
You can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications about any videos we post. And you can find us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. Email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. Oh my God. Well, thank you very much, Alex, for squeezing us into your moving schedule so that we could do this. It felt thank you for squeezing us into one of your suitcases. It felt right and proper, because how the hell do you ignore that? Honestly. Amazing. So, as Alex said, we will be back on the 17th of September for a massive podcast episode. Not just an hour. It'll take as long as it takes, as far as we're concerned. We'll discuss in 2 weeks. It takes as long as it takes. We'll be here for days. You never know. So,
get settled in.
Good luck in your move, Alex.
Thank you.
The next time we see you, you'll be in a whole new environment. How exciting for everybody! You'll be in your new 70s set.
I will. Yes. I'm moving into Shenanigan Warehouse, so it'll all be fine.
And I'm now off to eat an entire block of vanilla ice cream. So until the 17th of September, see you then. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye to you all, and good evening.
Fare you well.